Okay, real quick one for today. Winter has destroyed my front suspension because our roads have been so bad here, like so bad. Anyway, I need to do front shocks now. 98 CLK front shocks. Very simple. Remove the two lower bolts. I've got them coming out here now. They are 16 millimeter. Both bolts, the front, the nut and bolt on it are both 16 millimeter. Obviously the car's jacked up on jack stands. Remove the lower first, 16 millimeter. If you don't have a 16 millimeter, 5/8 Imperial is the same size basically, so you can get away with using a 5/8. And then up on top here, on the top of the shock tower in front of the electrical box where the ECUs and stuff are, there's a plastic cap, and under there are two, I think those are also 16 millimeter bolts. There's a bolt and a locking bolt. We'll come to those in a second. So I'm just going to take off this lower bolt and be back. Okay, lower bolts are out, and the top one is a 17, the top two bolts. So I'm just going to take them off one at a time. Sometimes they come off two at a time. Let's just try and get on that top nut. And they both came up, which is fine by me. Washer, grommet. You may or may not be able to get out until you pull the shock out. And then merely slip the shock down and out. Very simple, and we'll be back in a second to put the new one in. Okay, here's the part number on the new Monroe shock I got. A little bit of an issue though. Stock shock's about an inch longer. And I'm hoping that's not going to make a difference on rebound. I'm going to put it in and see what happens, but if not, I'm going to be pissed. I mean, I'm sure the weight of the car sitting on it is going to compress a little bit, but this is not not too cool. Anyway, if your new shocks don't come with them, there's a rubber cap on the top here that pops on and off the shock. So you either put that on the new one or put the one that came with the kit. It's a Monroe. This one came with it. That just pops in there, and also the cover's in there, and the bump stop is in there. I checked. There's a, let's see the bump stop. Let's look at the original Mercedes one if I can get this top off, which I can't. It comes off. No, this one doesn't want to come off. Anyway, bump stop's in there, which is all good. Yeah. So I'm going to put this back together, and we're going to throw it in two. Okay, to put the new one in, just obviously from underneath, it's pretty simple. Just up through the hole and go up top and take the rubber bump stop that came with it, or you can use the original, but sometimes they are better. The rubber washer and the big metal washer, and then the two lock nuts. I generally reuse the Mercedes ones because I find they are better than aftermarket ones, even Monroe's. Mercedes original equipment will be better. Actually, this shock I'm going to have to actually jack up the front end to meet with that shock. I am not... I'm not sure how this is gonna, if this is gonna be good or not. Anyway, I'm just gonna jack up the, put some weight on the suspension to get that shock in there, and be back in a second. Okay, so before I put the front wheel back on, I'm not gonna tighten the top first. You do the bottom and then do the top. Do the bottom, put it back on the ground, and then do the top. So the bottom's got to be tightened. The bottom shock bolt has to be tightened to 45 pound-feet. Not sure what that is in Newton meters. So that's torqued down. I'll put the wheel back on, drop the car on the ground, and then we'll... Okay, for retorquing the top bolt, I decided to move to the driver's side because it's easier to show you what to do because there's easier access with a wrench. And filming is just a little bit easier on this side. It's a little bit easier to see for me anyway. And also, don't forget to put the spacer over top of the upper shock bolt. You can put that on before or after you put the shock in. Sometimes it's easier before, sometimes it's easier after. Depends. Just take a look at your shocks and see whether it's easier to put them in before or after. Anyway, so I'm going to lower this car and then do the torque on the top bolt. Okay, so the bottom of the car is done, and we've got the upper shock mount through there, and you can see the little collar around there, which you do have to put in, or else this rubber bushing will not be tight and you'll get clunking in the front end of the upper shock mount. So rubber, washer, first bolt. This one tightens down to about 15 pound-feet, which is out of the range of my torque wrench. I'm just going to tighten that a little bit. I'm going to put my torque wrench the lowest I can. We're just like 18 foot-pounds. Oh, I need a longer extension. Ugh, back in 1 second, So it's basically going to be about as tight as you would tighten a spark plug. About 15 foot-pounds. That's around, maybe a tiny little bit tighter than you would tighten a spark plug. Oops. Damn it. Sorry. This torque wrench can measure that low. I don't know if it's... it doesn't feel that tight. That feels about like 15 to me. And then the top bolt is going to go on to 35 foot-pounds. Which I can set. 40, 35. I'm going to take an open-ended wrench and hold the bottom nut. There we go. That's 35. And the cap I am going to put back on, if I can figure out where the hell I placed it. But put that cap back on just in case. And blah, thanks for watching. That's about all I can tell you on that.